Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are. I wanted to thank everybody for joining us for the first opening webinar in our series, Securing the Future, Navigating Vehicle Cybersecurity Standards. The agenda that we have in place today, we're going to give an overview of SGS for those who may be unfamiliar. We're going to discuss the importance of cybersecurity in the automotive industry. We're going to introduce some of the key vehicle cybersecurity standards. We're going to introduce some of our external partners and further detail the schedule of the series that we have coming up. We're going to have 3 additional webinars after this overview webinar that are going to really do a deeper dive into the different standards and how they might impact the industry, as well as your individual companies. After that, we'll have a conclusion. We'll list out our contact information and host a brief Q&A. Speaking today with myself, I'm Tyler Drenth. I'm the Strategic Business Development Director in Mobility for SGS. I'm joined by Willie Fabritas. He is the Global Head of Strategy and Business Development for our Information Security team. And we're also joined by Saad Kazmi, who is a Program Manager for Cyber and Information Security for SGS. Willie and Saad will give further details on their backgrounds in a couple slides, but I wanted you to have an idea of who's going to be speaking with you today. In brief, SGS was founded in 1878. We've grown over the last 140 years of doing business. We're the world's #1 leader in testing, inspection, and certification. We have now over 100,000 employees in 2,600 offices and labs around the world. I believe we're in something like 88 countries, covering a large geographical footprint. The SGS difference in the testing, inspection, and certification industry is our global network, our quality of service, our industry expertise, our focus on digital innovation, and a key impact of understanding and practicing corporate sustainability. Willie, Saad, myself are in business assurance. That's doing the assessment, the auditing, and the certification of businesses. We're also key in importing supply chain assurance and consulting services. We also have a strong and robust training academy with sustainability assurance throughout, and we also can work on medical devices and regulatory compliance. At this time, I'd like to ask Willie and Saad to introduce themselves and give a brief background and overview of their expertise and what they bring to the table. Willie?
Saad, please go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Willie. Hi, everyone. Definitely, this is me. I'm responsible for cyber and InfoSec, as you see in the introduction slide, but I'm also responsible for overall in the Oceania region to look after the cyber and InfoSec program. And of course, I'm in this industry for almost like 18 years now. And overall, it's like 26, 27 years in the industry. So I'm coming with the IT backgrounds and electronic backgrounds. So, and of course, electronics and you name it are one of the favorite hobbies. So this is me in a brief nutshell. Over to you, Willie.
Thank you very much, Saad. Thank you very much, Tyler. This was very good. Yeah, my name is Willie Fabricius, and as Tyler already said, I'm the Global Head for Strategy and Business Development in business assurance, focusing on digital trust. And obviously, I'm a regular kind of guy on all kinds of webinars related to the subject. And educational background, computer science, and then I somehow ended up in quality management, implemented an QMS at a stamping facility, and then I went for 3 years to South Africa as an auditor for ISO 9001 and associated standards, then relocated about 26 years ago from South Africa to the United States. Continued my career as an auditor for all kinds of management system standards, but because of my educational background, sooner or later I got qualified to BS 7799, British Standard 7799, which was actually the predecessor to ISO 27001. And obviously then I got qualified to that standard and then started auditing all kinds of companies from Microsoft Azure to Apple to Accenture to Deloitte, name it. And then about 3 years ago, I joined SGS in my current capacity. I'm also sitting on a couple of ISO committees, namely SC27 and SC42, which are responsible for information security standards, respectively AI standards. And I'm actually sitting here in Paris, France, to attend an SC42 meeting next week. Thank you very much, and looking forward to discuss with both Saad and Tyler the interesting subject of cybersecurity for vehicles. Back to you, Tyler.
Yeah. Thank you, Willie, and thank you, Saad, for joining me today. Up next, we're going to pass a question over to you guys in the audience. We're curious, how familiar are you with the concept of vehicle cybersecurity? I know cybersecurity as a whole is very prevalent in today's day and age, but we'd really like to get some feedback on the vehicle cybersecurity side of things and what knowledge people are bringing into this. We'll give it just a few more seconds here. So as you can see from these results, we've got a pretty broad knowledge background on vehicle cybersecurity, which is great to have here. I think it's going to really help spur some discussions and some hopefully increase some understanding coming out of this webinar. The purpose of this webinar is for us to be able to introduce not only ourselves and SGS, but discuss cybersecurity inside of the vehicle lifecycle. As vehicles become increasingly connected and autonomous, the risk of cyber threats grow exponentially. I see a lot of us have seen it in the news with hackings of vehicles and self-driving cars getting in accidents. As these incidences increase, it's only going to further drive a demand in the market for there to be regular audits and compliance around vehicle cybersecurity. We're also going to be joined in our upcoming series by some of our external partners. We have FEV, Block Harbor Cybersecurity, and Vultara. And we will have intro videos later on that allow them to introduce themselves a little bit further. Some of the key vehicle cybersecurity standards that we plan on covering during this webinar. We're going to be discussing ISO 21434, TISAX, ENX VCS, 26262, 56001, 42001, and many more. And 26262 might jump out to you and say that's functional safety. Why are we bringing that up? But we think that safety is just as important inside of cybersecurity as it is to look at the entire life cycle of the vehicle. Willie, I know there's a common theme of not understanding the difference between maybe TISAX and ENX VCS, especially when it applies to the vehicle and the manufacturer themselves. Can you dive into a small amount of detail to distinguish the differences between the two? Yes, and to make matters worse, it's actually the three, and the three would be 21434. So yeah. What's the connection between TISAX, 22304, ENX, vehicle cybersecurity? Well, it's quite interesting because TISAX is really focused about how does the organization protect the information they have from the OEM. So let's make an example. Let's say there is an organization that is designing an entertainment system or info system, entertainment system for a vehicle. In order to develop that entertainment system for the vehicle, they would need to get information from the OEM, from the car manufacturer, concerning the interfaces. Let's face it, it's not just sitting there in a dashboard somewhere. Somehow that entertainment system is connected to all kinds of things within the vehicle. But they also will get information about estimated annual volume. They will get production releases. So they know more or less precisely how many vehicles are getting manufactured with this particular entertainment system installed. That is the kind of information the organization needs to protect. How are they going to do that? Well, by having a TISAX assessment and subsequently a TISAX label. But that is just one example. TISAX is applicable to any and all organizations that
are dealing with information of the OEM, and it's driven by the German car manufacturers. So in particular, VW, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, and so on and so forth, right? But I really would like to emphasize it's applicable to any and all suppliers to those companies on a global scale. On a regular base, there is that example of an venue operator, an event organization, a flower shop, a bank. What kind of information are they potentially dealing with? Well, they are dealing potentially with information from the OEM from a business perspective. So a catering company knows how many people will attend. They know where the event will take place. They will potentially have access to prototypes. This is the kind of stuff that need to be protected. On the other hand, vehicle cybersecurity and 21434 are concerned about designing and manufacturing components and assemblies that go into the vehicle and protecting those components and assemblies from cyber attacks. So coming back to that infotainment system mentioned earlier, an organization designing this kind of product, they would need to make sure that this infotainment system is secured from cybersecurity attacks. Now, what's the difference between ENX VCS and 21434? None. From a requirements perspective, there is no difference. The difference is that ISO 21434 by itself is a standard that is applicable to the organization designing, manufacturing those kind of components that go into a vehicle. ENX VCS has exactly the same requirements, however, also puts requirements on us, the assessment provider, SGS in this case, how we are going to assess this kind of management system, and subsequently, how the organization is getting a label. For those in the audience who are familiar with, let's say, ISO 27001, both systems, ENX VCS as well as ISO SAE 21434, are on that level of ISO 27001, and ISO 27006, the standard that tells us, the certification body, how to do the audit, how many audit days are required, content of the audit report, etc. That would be then covered by the ENX VCS in addition to the actual standard for the organization. So I know it's a little bit complicated, but for all intents and purposes, TISAX protects the organization's information, or should I say the information the organization has about the OEM. ENX VCS and 21434, on the other hand, provide a management system to design, manufacture components and assemblies with regard to cybersecurity that go into the vehicle.
Got it. Thank you for that clarification. That I think that helps a lot. Saad, any comments?
Just one thing, because all these modern cars, the smart cars, we call like an EV6, for example. A very quick example, which everybody very well understand, they're all running the CAN bus, which means that they are talking to their internal computers and sensors and all these things. As Willie mentioned, that it is now the requirement that how we protect these things. And I've seen a lot of people, they just plug a CAN bus, a duck, to compromise all the security, to compromise all the infotainment licensing requirement in, you name it, like, for example, BMW, the Audi, the VW, or any American models. Like, for example, very famous one is the Jeep. So the moment you plug the CAN bus adapter into that one, it's meaning that you expose the whole system to the hackers. And the other thing is why it becomes more and more crucial these days, because these manufacturers are also offering service-based subscriptions. So for example, yes, you can purchase a standard car, but if you really want to go to the next level, they said, yes, we can provide you the subscription for your infotainment system to get latest update for the next 5 years, but you have to pay extra cost. So from the commercial point of view, they need to protect that system, because if someone, Mr. Saad, say, for example, have the ability to compromise the security system in their car, it means the company is losing X number of commercial value. So that's also raises a concern that, okay, we are moving into the sensitive in a smart car. What happens if Mr. Saad don't like somebody and then they hack the car and stop in the middle of nowhere? Boom, you're out of nowhere and you can't contact anyone because Mr. Saad is controlling that car. So that brings the importance of these basic standard. I will say it's a basic standard, which is like a common sense to control and protect the information and assets, not just at a OEM level, but at a consumer level as well, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah, and I would like to add, Saad just mentioned the CAN bus. Well, that technology comes from 1983. So I'm pretty sure that 1983, there were not a lot of people thinking about cybersecurity and hacking a vehicle. And that in itself obviously demonstrates a serious issue that needs to be addressed. But yes, the CAN bus is indeed, for all intents and purposes, the technology that is being used in modern vehicles to connect all those different components, from the ignition lock to the central locking system to the brake lights.
And yes, you rightly mentioned, Willie, because they released the new version of the CAN bus, but the CAN bus itself is still there. The protocol is still there. Yes, they added a layer of securities, but it's still people who are expert in these things, they know how to crack these things.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that insight from both of you guys. It sounds like, Willie, maybe in 1983, they should have had ISO 56001 and had some innovation planning for looking forward into the future.
At that time, the silicon was not as sophisticated as today.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like these standards are really important for not only protecting the companies that are producing these vehicles and these components, but protecting the end user as well, which is going to lead us into our next question for the audience. Has your organization ever experienced a vehicle cybersecurity incident or threat? I know they're on the rise, and we're seeing more and more reports in the news of large-scale cybersecurity operations happening by lots of external parties, whether good or bad. And I think we're curious to know how many people out there have actually had an incident happen at their place of work, or maybe even to them themselves. So we'll leave this up for a few seconds. Willie, while everybody's voting on this, just a quick question. These standards, do they apply just to the vehicles we see every day on the road that me and you would drive, or are they more beyond that scope?
Well, you don't know whether I'm driving a tank or not. I mean, kidding aside, when I was a little bit younger, I actually drove tanks. But no, obviously those standards we are talking about are related to road vehicles, but that could potentially include motorbikes, that could include four-wheelers that might be not necessarily road vehicles, but potentially drive on roads. But fundamentally, they apply to road vehicles like we know, the cars and the trucks. But it doesn't mean that they cannot be applied to other vehicles as well.
Awesome. Thank you for the clarification. We'll just give this another couple seconds here. So it looks like while there is a larger portion of people that have not had a cybersecurity incident or threat happened, there are a few in the audience that have had that impact happen at their place of business or to themselves personally. So we see that it's gaining traction, and it's more common, I think, than some people might think.
And I think the people who answered, I don't know, well, most likely you had. and that's a common threat, actually, with regard to cybersecurity incidences. On a regular basis, we might be actually victims of cybersecurity incidences without even knowing. And that could be related to the laptops and the cell phones we are using, but also obviously with regard to the vehicles we are using. Maybe that cybersecurity hack did not manifest itself in the vehicle we drive, but that doesn't mean that the vehicle we are driving has not been hacked.
Yeah, thank you. And it leads perfectly into our next section of best practices that can happen inside of a company with regards to cybersecurity. I'll read through these from kind of a high level, but it's important that companies create a compliance team responsible for addressing cybersecurity and maintaining the program, that they implement an efficient risk assessment plan, that they implement security and technical controls, and as well as implementing and updating cybersecurity policies. And once these policies are in place, they're reviewing, testing, and monitoring that's required to maintain that level of safety and security, as well as understanding if breaches happen. And then implementing a robust strategy around cybersecurity, and then following up and staying up to date as well as possible, because some of these cybersecurity threats change very, very rapidly. Sometimes daily they can look different, but making sure they're updating and enforcing those policies. Willie, I know that these are common in cybersecurity as well as SOD, but are they also relevant to vehicle cybersecurity?
Yes, there are no differences. Fundamentally, whether you have silicon and using some kind of software in the form of a cell phone or smartphone, or whether you have silicon in form of a brake light that is connecting via a technology from 1983 to other components within the vehicle, it doesn't really matter. You know, at the end of the day, it's really about making sure that every single participant on that famous CAN bus, all components that are communicating with one another on that CAN bus, are secured to the best possible level. From a software development perspective, it's not really that important which kind of language you are using, but it's more important that you have the right organizational controls in place to ensure that the right procedures and policies are executed. So whether you're using C# or C++ or Python, at the end of the day, the developers need to understand that downloading a nice, good-looking package from download.ru might be not the best approach in terms of security. Every source, every software source we have needs to be validated, needs to be reviewed for security flaws. And that's independent of the language. The same might be true for a hardware component that we are building into our assemblies. We need to be sure that we do understand the pedigree and the provenance of every single component in those assemblies. And when I say component, I literally mean the hardware as well as the software component.
Yeah.
On a regular basis, the challenge is that we are manufacturing those assemblies and a single component is missing. I don't know, a single IC is missing. We cannot really source it. What do? We go to our distributor and the distributor say, I've got a replacement part. Instead of -W, it's a -P component. Place in. Okay. Well, what's the difference? Don't worry, there's no difference. Well, if there is no difference, then trust me, these IC manufacturer wouldn't have a W and a P variant. There is a reason why there is a variant. So what's the difference of that variant? Yeah, don't worry, they are place-in replacements. No, they are not. And frankly speaking, theoretically, this replacement could have a new feature built in. For example, a Bluetooth communication channel. Well, we don't need Bluetooth communication in our assembly. That's okay, and that's fine. But does our software recognize that there is this feature on that IC and disables it? Well, if our software doesn't disable it, then it could be potentially enabled by other features that are in the ecosystem. So we need to be really, really sensitive to changes. And change management, as we all know, is one of the weakest capabilities of humans. We all do changes, but we seem to be incapable of managing changes. And every change in itself potentially introduces a new vulnerability. And changes in the automotive ecosystem happen, I would say, every single day because of all the updates that are being pushed to those wonderful new vehicles.
Yeah, absolutely. Saad, any comments, please?
Yeah, on that note, of course, it's very common sense. If you look into the requirements of these standards, you will see the similarities. And if you're really keen to see personal level, you can easily apply the same things that before you can make any changes in your home window, you have to look into every possible way that where you are, how much security you need, and what's your risk involved in that. What happens if someone leave the window overnight? Is there any issue in that? So if you look at the very common sense perspective in terms of the vehicle safety or in terms of cybersecurity in any other process or functions or organization, you will find the similar issues. And that's one of the critical things from the vehicle perspective, because you all are aware the increase in their what they call relay attack, where people can compromise the key fobs. So most cars these days are coming with the entry, I will say, wireless key fobs, where you can use wirelessly to turn your engine on and all this thing. And what these carjackers do, they just trick the system using their own system, which is like a handy, like a USB type stuff. And it's just a matter of seconds. I think maximum 30 seconds. And within 30 seconds, your car is gone. Wow. So that's the reason Willie is talking about. These systems are very, very important in a way that whenever we change anything, whenever you put a new coded fob into the system, make sure that it is the only 2 fobs registered in your system. You cannot leave the whole system open for someone else to come back in the night and say, okay, here's another key for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
yeah,
I would like to share, and I would like to share with the two of you as well as with our audience. There is a question, respectively, it's more a comment in the Q&A session that says, we had an incident at work with a blah, blah, blah car, and I intentionally say so because we don't want to blackmail a particular manufacturer. And the car was opened by a thief without breaking any glass, and he was able to open the car and stole a backpack with a laptop. We saw it on CCTV footage. Well, I know that this particular manufacturer that was mentioned in the question, and I blanked out, had a serious issue on their website. If you just knew the license plate of that of the car of that particular manufacturer, you could go to the manufacturer's website and remotely operate that vehicle, e.g., for example, opening the doors. And sorry, that is something that is beyond what I'm able to comprehend. How would it be possible that a major manufacturer has on their website the capabilities or opens the possibility to enter the license plate number of a vehicle and then operate that vehicle from a publicly facing website? I'm sorry, somebody wasn't thinking. Yeah, and this is just an example of what unfortunately is possible with modern vehicles.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's becoming more and more of a reality every day as cars get smarter and as more vehicles are produced. Next section, we're going to do another quick Q&A for the audience. From the understanding that you guys have, at what stage should cybersecurity measures be integrated into vehicle design? And this could be something you know, or maybe where you think it should be involved. But we're trying to gauge the idea of whether that should be during the initial manufacturing of the car, during the design or the concept phase, or after when it gets to the end user, whether that's through downloads, patches, and maintenance updates. So we'll leave that up for a few seconds. And Willie, in terms of following that story from blah 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 manufacturer, perhaps you could tell the story that you've told me in the past, and it's a very interesting story along those same lines about the headlight thieves.
That one, yes.
Yeah.
So the story goes that a person buys a brand new car, and within a couple of days, the person recognizes that one of the headlights is smashed. And obviously the first, while parked overnight. And the first inclination was, yeah, this young hooligans just, didn't like my car, and they were jealous that somebody in the neighborhood was driving one of those nice cars, and that's the reason why they smashed the headlight. Obviously, he goes to the shop and has the headlight replaced. And then he talks about that with a friend of him. And the friend says, honestly, I would not be surprised if it happens again. Guess what? Another couple of days later, it happens again. And the two friends are talking, and something like, yeah, I told you so. And the second friend says to the car owner, and I would be not surprised if your car would be gone in a couple of days. And guess what? The car was gone a couple of days later. So what happened was very simple and straightforward. The headlight was smashed. A spying device was implanted into that area of the car so that it was able to listen to the signals on the CAN bus. The shop goes in, replaces the headlight, and well, a couple of days later, the headlight is smashed again for the purpose of retrieving the sniffer from the bus. And what that sniffer was really doing was monitoring all that traffic that was going on the bus, from signal received from the FAB, from the key FAB, open the door, deactivating the immobilizer, activating, starting the engine. All the signals are on the bus and can be retrieved and can be stored. And then once they retrieved the sniffer, they had the entire package or the entire traffic that was necessary, to open the door, deactivate the immobilizer, and start the engine. And then just needed to operate the steering wheel and drive.
Yeah.
So there are a couple of issues here, right? A, why is the traffic on the bus not encrypted? B, why did the shop, when they replaced the headlight the first time, why did they not investigate what else is now in that area? Is there maybe a new device or component being added? And then obviously, why did the car manufacturer not prevent this kind of situation?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. That was a pretty crazy reality to think that can happen in today's day and age. And so we got the poll results in, and a large majority of the audience believes that cybersecurity should be integrated into the vehicle design during the initial concept, as well as some during the manufacturing. And I think some people might argue that it should be at every stage, but it's definitely important to involve cybersecurity early on in the process.
And I really would like to emphasize, yes, Tyler, in every single stage. So yes, maybe one could argue that was a trick question, because that really should have been not an either-or question, but it really should have been a multiple-choice question. And yes, you are absolutely correct. In each stage, from the ideation, in the design, in the concept, in the prototyping, in the manufacturing, in the update, in every single case, in every single phase, the idea and concerns of cybersecurity must be integrated, must be part of the thinking process. Yeah,
absolutely. I agree. The next section we're going to cover is navigating regulatory challenges. This is going to be with vehicle cybersecurity, and they are facing regulatory challenges due to the diverse and evolving nature of the industry and cybersecurity threats. During the upcoming series of webinars that we'll bring up, we'll discuss each one of them, how to each standard, how they navigate those regulatory challenges. And these challenges may change monthly, daily, or sometimes even hourly, depending on what the industry is doing. Another thing to factor in there is different regions have varying regulations, making that global compliance complex. The regulations that are happening here in the United States may differ from where Willie and Saad are sitting right now in France. And they may differ from another country right next door. And so navigating those different geographical changes may make it more complex. The rapid evolution of cyber threats outpaces the regulatory process. We've said that these threats can change sometimes by the minute. And that can also increase the challenge of making sure that vehicles are secure, as well as the companies that are making these products. And it's a great importance to ensure cybersecurity across the entire lifecycle, like we just talked about, making sure that it's included in the design of the vehicle and the manufacturing, and then after it goes out to the consumer itself. It's going to help keep the consumer safe, as well as the company and the manufacturer of the vehicles and the vehicle components. It's going to lead us to another question for the audience.
And may I add?
Yes.
The innocent bystanders.
Yeah.
So it's not just the owner of the vehicle, the driver of the vehicle, the occupants in the vehicle, and yes, the manufacturer of the vehicle, but it's the famous mom with the prom and the 2-year-old next to her, the pedestrians on the sidewalks. Mm-hmm. If a vehicle is hacked, theoretically, it could also steer into people that have nothing to do with the vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a major safety concern for not only the users, but for everybody around them as well.
And one sorry, Tyler,
yes.
One more important point is that we are not only focusing and talking about the OEM, but after sales service maintenance, regular maintenance, and different people take the machine to different workshops. And then it becomes more and more important that whenever you're taking your car, smart car specifically, to not to the dealer, but somewhere else to make some, to save some money, then it becomes more and more critical that you have to make sure that they are proper mechanic, they are registered mechanics, so they are not tampering with this cyber secure systems installed in any vehicle by the OEM, because sometimes they say, oh, I need to do something because I don't have amount to pay for Odyssey, for example. So then there are people outside in the market, they said, no problem, you can come to us, we can install such and such application on your infotainment, and you can just pay us like €100. End of discussion. The moment you say, okay, here's the new thing, here's the new firmware into the system, you're gone. Yeah. So that's also very, very important to make sure that when in the service life of your vehicle, you have to be very, very careful that you always go to the right people for the right work. And that is very, very important and very scary. As Willie mentioned, that is what happened if someone automatically steer to somewhere else. You want to go home, and they say, no, you can't go home. Go to this market.
Yeah. That absolutely, it's definitely another layer of the onion, you could say.
Yeah.
So I know for the audience, we talked about a lot of the remote hacking of vehicles, but we have another question for you guys. What would you say is the biggest cybersecurity threat to connected vehicles? There's a couple of different options on there. We'll leave this up for a little bit, allow you guys to vote what you think is the biggest threat.
And let's face it, cybersecurity, the question is not just about, the safety of the vehicle and the safety of the driver and occupants and people around, but there's also the aspect of privacy. So what happens if that cybersecurity attack is not about opening doors and stealing laptops, but is about tracing where the vehicle is going to, where the vehicle is standing at, and with all those cameras built into the vehicle, what kind of pictures is potentially now the vehicle able to take, either from the OEM or from and after the hack. So these are all kinds of questions that raise to my mind when I'm thinking about cybersecurity in the connection of vehicles.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and if your vehicle's parked in one isolated location for a long period of time, that means that somebody could know that there's a chance that you're alone there, or that you're more susceptible to a physical attack.
Yes,
but it seems that there's a lot of thought around the remote hacking of vehicles being the biggest threat inside of cybersecurity vehicles. We thank you for your answers. We've discussed a couple times now that we're gonna put together a webinar series on this subject. We're gonna have 3 more upcoming webinars. We're gonna have one on TISAX and ENX VCS specific on October 30th, so right around Halloween. We're gonna follow that up with one around 26262 functional safety, as well as 21434 on November 21st. And then we'll follow that up and conclude the series with an emerging markets and emerging standards webinar on December 17th. And from there, we'll cover innovation management, some things around off-road vehicles, maybe things with aerospace and drones, and as well as some emerging standards that are coming out and coming down the pipeline. Stay tuned to our LinkedIn for those, and you'll find we'll push those out regularly and make sure that we can get more people attended to those so they can learn more about cybersecurity. After this, we'd like to go to one more quick question. And are you familiar with your current vehicle cybersecurity standards and regulations, whether that be ISO 21434, whether that be TISAX or any of the others? What is the overall knowledge level inside of the attendee room?
And while we are waiting for the attendees to answer those questions, I would like to emphasize it's October, and October is Cybersecurity Month. So obviously, this was one of the drivers for us here at SGS to think about how can we contribute to this, awareness related to cybersecurity. And obviously, mobility and vehicles is a very easy thing because we are all using it every single day. So Tyler, do we have the results of the poll?
We do. It's good to see that some people are fully aware. There's others that are somewhat aware, which is good. Maybe those are companies that are just beginning down the vehicle cybersecurity path. And there's more that are not aware at all. And we hope that those who are not aware at all will join us for the rest of the webinar series to learn more about that. We did have a question come in about what our LinkedIn account is. We'll have it up at the end of the series. We want to introduce a couple of our external partners that will be joining us during the rest of the series, and then we'll make sure we leave it up on the screen to say where to find the rest of the information for the upcoming webinars. The first one that we're going to do is a company called FEV. They're going to be joining us for the remainder of the series, and they prepared a short video to kind of lay out who they are and what they do.
Tyler, you're on mute.
Yeah, thank you. We're looking forward for FEV joining us on the rest of the webinar series. They stand at the forefront of transportation engineering, and they're renowned for their innovative solutions in various sectors. As the company embraces change, it extends its technological and strategic acumen in aerospace and energy, driven by its software and systems expertise. This expansion reflects FEV's commitment to intelligent solutions accessible to all. With a diverse team of experts, FEV tackles present and future challenges, fostering a culture of continuous innovation. With over 7,100 skilled employees across 40 locations, FEV is dedicated to envisioning solutions that address immediate and future needs, steering towards a sustainable, cleaner future powered by advanced mobility, energy, and software solutions. FEV's journey is an ongoing feel evolution for its partners, its people, and the planet. Next up, we're going to have a company do an intro video called Block Harbor Cybersecurity. We're going to hear from them about who they are and what they do.
Hey everyone, my name is Brandon Berry and I'm the CEO of Block Harbor, a leading company in vehicle cybersecurity established right here in the Motor City of the USA, Detroit, Michigan. I'm excited to share a little bit about who we are and what we've been doing for the last decade now to keep vehicle systems safe and secure in an increasingly connected world. Here at Block Harbor, we have a complete portfolio to be a partner with vehicle makers and vehicle electronic suppliers for product security. Our blue team of defenders focuses on designing, building, and maintaining secure vehicle systems, while our red team of hackers focuses on testing those defenses. Together, they work cohesively to deliver a complete view of vehicle security to our customers. Importantly and uniquely, our best-in-class platform, the Vehicle Security Engineering Cloud, or VSEC, allows us to collaborate in real time with our customers to deliver seamless cybersecurity throughout all stages of vehicle development and hand it off to them when they're ready to take it over. See, our team of experts and decade of experience enables us to build advanced cybersecurity lifecycle strategies for ISO SAE 21434 to meet regulatory compliance like United Nations Regulation 155, leveraging scalable and cost-efficient techniques such as automation, asset management, and knowledge management. Whether you're a small company just getting started in product cyber or a large enterprise looking for a next generation cybersecurity management solution that scales into the future of software-defined vehicle, our goal is to ensure that your organization remains secure, resilient, and ready to tackle the challenges of tomorrow. Vehicle cybersecurity isn't easy. With Block Harbor, we're not delivering just a platform with VSEC or just services with our red and blue team. We're delivering a complete solution to make sure that you have a partner through all the challenges ahead in the vehicle cybersecurity journey. And we are looking forward to joining our great partner, SGS, in this upcoming webinar series. Thanks, and see you there.
Yeah, that was awesome from Brandon, their CEO. Brandon gave me a summary of this description of theirs. Block Harbor is a leading vehicle cybersecurity company, and they'll be launching a new platform, the Vehicle Security Engineering Cloud. Automakers and suppliers use this platform to automate and track connected vehicle cybersecurity efforts enforced by regulation globally starting in July of 2024. Headquartered in Detroit with the most advanced car hackers and defenders in the world, they are on a mission to build great solutions and keep mobility safe. We're looking forward to having Brandon and the rest of the team from Block Harbor join us. Up next, we're going to have another company called Vultara join us as well, and they prepared a brief video for everybody's understanding of who they are and what they do.
Hi, I'm Nicholas DeVito, Director of Operations at Vultara, a leader in automotive cybersecurity. I'm excited to introduce how we're making product security simpler and more effective for the automotive industry. At Vultara, we address the key challenges faced by OEMs, from the difficulty in finding skilled security experts to integrating risk-based development processes. Our innovative Tara automation simplifies comprehensive threat analyses and risk assessments, helping teams anticipate and mitigate vulnerabilities throughout the engineering lifecycle. Our solution not only streamlines security processes, but also reduces engineering expenses. With our automation engine and ever-evolving threat libraries, even a junior engineer can lead complex security projects backed by the expertise of our multiple subject matter experts. What once took weeks, such as conducting a TARA, can now be done in days, thanks to automation, reusable libraries, and efficient review processes. Vultara is built on ISO SAE 21434 standards, ensuring compliance while offering the flexibility to integrate with tools like PLM and ALM systems. Our approach gives managers and executives full visibility into project security metrics, enabling them to track and quantify enterprise risk with ease. Our suite of solutions is designed to address the most pressing cybersecurity needs in the automotive industry. Our threat analysis and risk assessment tool offers the highest degree of automation available on the market. Managing vulnerabilities through Excel alone is no longer viable for meeting ISO requirements. Vultara's solution streamlines the entire process, ensuring compliance and comprehensive coverage. Our Intel platform continuously feeds critical threat intelligence and security events, enabling proactive defense against emerging threats. We're excited to be part of this webinar series with industry leaders like SGS, where we'll explore these solutions in depth. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to sharing insights and helping you navigate the evolving security landscape.
Awesome. Great words there from Nick at Vultara. We're looking forward to having them join us as well. They are also based in Troy, Michigan, and Vultara is a company at the cutting edge of automotive cybersecurity. Founded by a team of seasoned automotive engineers and cybersecurity experts, they specialize in providing a comprehensive SaaS cybersecurity management system. Our solutions cover every phase of cybersecurity engineering, from concept design to manufacturing and post-production monitoring. At Vultara, we are dedicated to safeguarding the future of transportation through innovation and expertise. Our mission is to secure the connected world by promoting the secure by design principle for cybersecurity in cross-functional product engineering teams. Risks should guide design decisions for products that transform our lives so that our physical world will not be threatened. We're looking forward to having those 3 external partners join us, as well as potentially a few more. We've posted something here for our SGS Academy for anybody who may want more information on some of the courses that are involved in vehicle cybersecurity. We currently have ISO 21434 as well as a TISAX course for USA and for Canada available. We encourage you to go to the Academy to take some of these classes. They're very, very thorough and really help in the understanding of some of these standards. We also have this link to our social media content. We have a YouTube channel where we have quite a lot of content that gets put out, such as webinars, live recordings, behind-the-scenes tours, and training sessions. We have weekly uploads and industry-specific playlists, so you can tailor what you see more based on your industry. And finally, we wanted to thank you guys for being here. We've included myself, Willie, and Saad's emails there, as well as links to our Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, where you'll find the upcoming webinar series advertised to you. We'd like to open it up here for any Q&A that anybody might have, or any comments on the series as a whole, or maybe on vehicle cybersecurity. I think that we've addressed everything that's in the chat so far. Willie, Saad, any comments while we sort through the questions?
Yes, I really would like to emphasize that cybersecurity for vehicles is supposed to be and needs to be needs to take a very holistic view. Needs to really consider all stakeholders and interested parties. So it's not just the driver, it's not just the owner, it's not just the OEM, it's the dealer, it's the aftermarket, it's the pedestrians on the sidewalk, it's the general public at large. So cybersecurity for vehicles is really a very complex thing that needs to be addressed. At the end of the day, it's not a single device that needs to be considered, but it's really the entire ecosystem that needs to be considered. From the charging station to the vehicle to the company that replaces the tires or the wheels. So it's a very complex thing, but at the end of the day, there's this old fashioned, how do you eat an elephant? Piece by piece, right? And that's exactly the same for cybersecurity for vehicles. We cannot look at the big thing. We really need to look at the individual components and then making sure that they are working together in a secured way. Saad, any thoughts from your side?
One thing which is very, very important for us to understand, as you rightly mentioned, Willie, that the eco cycle, which include not just the car itself, but all the communication and carrier provider, because most of these smart cars are running through the satellite communication or any telecom chips these days, like 5Gs or 6Gs or whom know, and they have their own built-in Wi-Fi things and other technical advancements. So definitely, it's not just one piece. Which OEM, yes, OEM can do whatever they have to follow the strict guideline, but then it's all up to the consumer as well. That they don't put the password like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you completely fail the whole security concept. An OEM cannot come back and guide you that please don't put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's also the understanding of people that when they are driving smart cars or new vehicles, that they have some responsibilities to enjoy the benefit of these sophisticated technologies and things like that. No one is stopping you, but what I'm saying that please handle with care. Like when you have handling any delicate cutleries or things or glass or things like that, you have to be very, very careful. You don't live to put everything here and there. You have to put things in the designated places. So definitely these smart cars requires very sophisticated security concept as well. What happens if you put that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and everyone can, any novice IT people, they start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or admin, say for example. So that's very interesting that yes, OEM, every car manufacturer can follow certain rules and regulation. Now car is outside waiting for you to drive it. And then you say, okay, because I can't remember the password, then okay, yes, I have multiple easy passwords. And then you discuss every password to every person in your neighborhood. Then what's the point of having the cybersecurity in place? It doesn't work.
And following up with something you said earlier in terms of installing some additional feature on the infotainment system. Well, if you find on eBay somebody offering a quick patch so that the seats can be heated in your vehicle, circumventing the mechanisms the car manufacturer has implemented, rest assured, besides heating the seats, there will be other features implemented that you might not have intended to implement, like taking picture of you and the people in the car every 5 seconds, transmitting the GPS coordinates of the vehicle to some kind of remote server. If it's free, you are the product. So if somebody says, just send us $20, regardless whether it's US dollars, Australian dollars, or euros or pounds, send us $20 and you will be able to improve the performance of your engine by 20 horsepowers. Rest assured, besides that fine-tuning of the engine, there will be other features implemented. And those features will not benefit you.
Yeah, 99% of the time, no. Awesome. Well, we are at the top of the hour. I wanted to thank you, Willie, and you, Saad, for your time. I appreciate your insight and your valuable knowledge that you brought to this webinar. We look forward to continuing down this series and discussing some of these important vehicle cybersecurity standards that are in the market now and that are coming to the markets. With that, stay tuned to our LinkedIn, and we will make sure to push out the information when we're going to be hosting those, and you guys can register for those as well. Other than that, I wanted to thank anybody in the audience for attending, and we look forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.